I had to be tough for me. Like, I was living the battle, but I guess I felt like I had to pretend like it wasn't affecting me because I needed to be tough for everyone else in my life. Like, I'm a business owner. Like, I have 3 daughters. So everyone else seemed to outwardly be more emotional than what I was. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I knew mindset was still so important, because the difference between someone that heals from these things was obviously going to have a better chance if they have a good mindset and being positive and respond well. So I had all of that going on, and on top of the fact that they also misdiagnosed me and literally told me one day to say goodbye to my kid because I wasn't coming home. Like, it was
God.
it was a big season of life, but I think through that moment you instantly work out what is really important to you, what's not, and really prioritize what your values are. And I just realized through that season, I read a book called The Brain at Rest, and I picked it up in an airport actually, and it literally changed my life. Like, it has been probably the key difference in my life over the last 12 months.
Hey there, welcome back to the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for having me in your ears. This episode is a deeply personal and incredibly powerful conversation, one that so many people experience, yet so few talk about so openly and authentically. What happens when cancer collides with your career? When you build a business, lead a team, show up for your clients, show up for your family, and then life throws challenges at you that force you to stop, shift, and be redefined. Joining me today is Elizabeth Hood, an inspiring leader in real estate and the founder of Elite Real Estate in Rockhampton. With over 2 decades of experience and multiple national awards, Elizabeth has built an incredible reputation in our industry. But her story goes far beyond her business success. Elizabeth has overcome more than most, from the heartbreak of losing children in a court battle following the end of her 15-year marriage, to continuing to run her business from a hospital bed after having a lung removed, to reaching a point of burnout so severe she couldn't remember who she'd spoken to just minutes earlier. This is a story of mindset, resilience, and courage, but also something deeper. It's about letting go of the version of yourself that had to operate in survival mode, the version that lived in constant fight or flight, the one who pushed through exhaustion, who couldn't slow down, even on a family holiday, and who felt the need to constantly prove something. I know you can hear yourself in those words. I know you guys know that version very well. And then finally, what happens when your body forces you to finally listen? So, in this episode, we talk about navigating cancer alongside a career and business, the emotional toll of pushing beyond your limits, and what it really takes to rebuild not just your business, but yourself. This is raw, this is real, and this is a conversation that will stay with you. It brought me to tears on multiple occasions. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's dive on in. Elizabeth, we made it. We've got to this point. I'm so excited to have a chat with you today. Before we dive into everything about you and your amazing business, can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started doing what you do now?
Amazing. Thank you, Kylie. It's great to be here with you, and I've been looking forward to it. So thank you. I have been in the industry, or the real estate industry, now just shy of 25 years. So I guess the longevity of my career in real estate has been rewarding, but for me, it's always been about the long term game. I believe anything in life doesn't come from taking shortcuts, or should I say, anything that provides that genuine reward is more about sticking it out through not just through I'm trying to cut corners. For me, it's always been about integrity and excellence and that high end customer service to my clients. But yeah, I started in the industry 25 years ago as a receptionist, and I guess did every role in that particular agency until I was we shouldn't say lucky enough, because I think every lucky is just where hard work is rewarded, but where I did receive a few national BDM awards and decided that I really wanted to align my values with something that I could control and deliver rather than something that I was being told to do that aligned with someone else's. Yes, I launched Elite Real Estate 10 years ago and organically. So decided to start the business from the ground up and have grown our clients ever since, just aligned specifically with those values around, yeah, integrity and relationships. Here at Elite, we're all about relationships and going the extra mile.
Amazing. So tell me, what was the mindset like for you to go out on your own, and where were you at in your life at that stage? You had a lot of success for another agency. And I ask this question because I know a lot of my audience are sitting there, either have just gone out on their own or they really want to go out on their own, but there's
Yeah.
something holding them back. So what courage did it take for you to do that?
I think for me, I mean, I've always been someone that does naturally probably back myself. I think for me, I thought it originally it might have been harder than what it was. And it was actually a luncheon that I had with another business operator in town. And I was frustrated at the time because I was working very long hours and not seeing, I guess, the results, I suppose, that I would have liked to have seen. Because as a BDM, you can hold some element of decision making, but then when clients are not happy with, I guess, the end result, you still want to, I like to ensure that the promises that I'm giving are getting delivered. So I guess I wanted to control not just the incoming of business, but I wanted to control, I guess, the service delivery and the relationship. It's not just about signing up a client, right? It's about making sure that you can deliver on what you say you're going to deliver. So I guess I was frustrated in that sense because I'm very big on doing what I say I'm going to do. And I guess, yeah, this lady had said to me, "What if it's easier than what you think it is?" And it just got my brain thinking. And I thought, what if it is? Because, what you don't know, you don't know. So I did start delving into, I guess, the education around what it might take. And I decided it was time that I did back myself. Look, it was a big leap of faith. I had 3 very young children at the time, and unfortunately, my marriage of 15 years was at an end. There was a lot of extra risks that were at play, but I think you've reached that point where it's that point of no return, where you know that, you have to do it. You can't go back. I did start the business organically, and so there was that element of going, how am I going to survive financially? And I did start a job as a cleaner as a backup. It lasted one day. I was like, nah, I'm all in, whatever it takes. And yeah, because so 7 banks did say no. I got rejected for finance, which, mind you, was $40,000 was all I wanted, which I thought was quite insignificant. But no, it was literally having to back myself and just jump. And I did, worked around the clock in those early years, didn't sleep much. But that first year, I signed 200 clients my first year. I was just fortunate enough that that work ethic, that integrity, the values that I guess I gave, and the clients that know who I was were willing to take a chance on me.
And you also, I remember hearing you speak at PPM, and we'll dive into some of the really life changing hurdles that you've had to overcome to continue on this amazing, successful trajectory. But you also
Yeah.
consciously built your business with all those values and stuff in place, but you're very community driven as well. And you support your community very well, which I really love and really resonated with. So talk to me how you integrated that community essence into your business.
Yeah. Look, I think historically it's ingrained in you when it's a part of your upbringing and where you come from, I guess. I am one of 8 children, so I did come from a large home, a very religious home. So I guess growing up, we were all about giving. It was a very sacrificial upbringing, a very life wasn't about ourselves. So I guess that was at the core of my values and what I was used to anyway. And look, in the early days, it was a little bit difficult because I had to juggle being a single parent. I actually lost my children for a few years through that battle of the separation, unfortunately. It was hard trying to have a startup, juggle those court years, and then, of course, still align with your core values and who you are. So it did help, I think, initially that because I didn't have a huge funding behind me, the first few years I actually worked from a coffee shop. So it was nice because I was seen in the public. I had my car, which was sign written. I tried to pick all different coffee shops around town. So I wasn't always prioritizing just one, meeting with other local trades and other small businesses that it meant something to them as well. So basically, I combined the art of storytelling as I grew my business with other local and small businesses so that basically there could be beneficial interest and impact on them as well. And I think just maybe the fact that I was real with people, authentic, it obviously helped others. I've always been about, from a community perspective, sponsoring local footy clubs and trying to do what I could do as the business evolved and grew. I'm actually really excited because this is my first year. I'm finally at the position where I've got a big enough team now that I can actively volunteer. So I have signed up to St. John's organisation and I'm about to start my official volunteering journey shortly. So I guess it is nice to look back and you have all the countless years of lack of sleep and working and just doing a little bit to be able to give back. And now we're at a point now where as a team, we are like, what can we do to as an actual business, not just give money, but give our time, get out into the community. And we're actually in the middle of writing a program for seniors in schools that we can help educate them around preparing pathways for education around not just renting, but home owning. So we may as well start now while they're young.
I love that is such a great initiative. I've often thought all the things we learn at school, but no one
Yeah.
teaches you how to budget. No one
Yeah.
teaches you what you need to do to rent a property or how to save properly or how to invest or so yeah, I think that's a fantastic initiative and I
Yeah.
would love to chat to you further about that and see how we can take that elsewhere.
Yeah.
But let's talk about so we like obviously the success has come for you, but it's come at a bit of a cost and probably a bigger price than most. And I guess how have you got through those years of the struggle, court battles with your kids, and then
Yeah.
in recent years, your health has taken a major turn.
Yeah.
What mindset and strength
Yeah.
have you got inside you to have got you through that? I don't know how.
I think like the groundwork in the leading up to opening the business was probably contributed in a positive way in a sense because I spent a few years prior to opening the business focusing on what it costs and what it took to be successful, or at least I guess my version of what success looked to me. And I think for me, mindset's always been a big thing. The mind plays a big part in every part of our lives. And what I learned in those early days was that statistically, it's 87% of our mindset is wired subconsciously negative. That's default. So for me to read the books and listen to the podcasts and do all of those early years of studying around mindset, it was just a mic drop for me to realize that we have the power to proactively combat what that default is. And so I did spend years changing the narrative of what my mornings looked like and making sure I had a set kind of process every morning. So I'm like, well, that's the default. How can we flip that default so that we are actually programming our minds like positively and forward? So a bit like going to the gym with our bodies. So I did spend a lot of years working on that and the mindset. And I think the thing is that there's a difference between walking into your day very reactively and walking in with purpose. And the year that I changed that program, that process for me in the mornings, my results tripled that year. And that's all I changed, 1 hour every morning. And it literally was just mind blowing for me. So
What did you do? Do you mind me asking if you do? Yeah.
and that's the thing is like people, it's not rocket science, it's just simple routine. And yes, so I added my I am statements every morning. So the exercise, I listen to a podcast every morning, I started reading a book every month. So I just had an hour of basically success or an hour of power where I proactively combined education, exercise and personal mindset routines to make sure that I was set up for my success. And I just wanted to change the direction of how the brain would default work so that I was in control of it. And obviously, there's been so many hurdles through that process of opening a business, the separation, the kids, and even health. And even like in business, as you probably know, there's always like things that get thrown at you. And I just had to learn to just be so resilient with the mind where I had to remove almost the emotion out of the equation, but it's not that I was emotionless. It was just, I realized that we bring a lot of the problems to the situations by the way we respond and by the way we react to them. So I just became really resilient, like really ruthless when it came to controlling my emotions and how I responded and just remaining positive basically. So I guess at the end of the day we all have the power to choose how we respond and how it's in the mind at the end of the day.
This episode is proudly supported by ALO. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you've probably noticed what I've noticed. The property managers doing the most interesting work right now keep mentioning the same platform. And I saw it close up at the Harcourt Solutions study tour in Brisbane. The way teams talk about their day has changed. And if you want to hear it for yourself, ALO hosts after-hours intimate events at Mecca stores across Australia, where you can listen to property managers share their own story. So book a demo at alo.io, that's AILO.io, and ALO will send you a Mecca gift card to say thanks. I'm sure you've gone to a lot of very deep places with that resilience in recent years. Can you share that story and how you got diagnosed and how that sort of, because that's a freaky story in itself, isn't it? Yeah, how that evolved. And I'm talking about, it was lung cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. And look, I've never been a smoker. It was like a rare mutation where it's one that specifically attacks women actually that don't smoke. And I think in hindsight, they are saying that it seems to be consistent with women that are high achievers, that are success driven, that probably, for me, it was probably a lack of sleep and just sitting in that fight or flight constantly, because it's what happens at the cellular level. If your body can't heal, unfortunately, that's when, the problems do occur. But at the time, I think the mindset and the resilience probably went too far because I wasn't listening to my body, because I had built up this amazing, incredible mindset where nothing I felt could break me or phase me. So if I was sick, I'd work anyway. Like no matter what happened, I wasn't actually sitting in a healthy space. Now I can see it all. But in that moment, I was like, I'm a machine. I just keep going. And that was far from healthy. And in fact, it was almost, I think in hindsight, now I look at it, we all have different ways in which we respond to trauma or stress. And to me, I just thought that was the best way to action it. But I think in hindsight, sitting in moments is actually healthy. Having rest and boundaries. I've now learned and studied that over the last 12 months. But yeah, look, the whole cancer thing, it just came from nowhere and I found it by accident, which I also believe everything happens for a reason. I believe sometimes in life the best gifts come badly wrapped, as you probably know. And for so long, I think I was fatigued and certain environments and things kept getting thrown at me. But because I was so strong and I'd probably over accomplished how I wanted to respond to things, no matter what life was throwing at me, I just wasn't listening. So I think it needed to happen because it was obviously a very big reality check for me when out of the blue, I got a phone call from the Royal Women's Brisbane Hospital, which by the way, I'm in Rockhampton. So I literally said to them, "You've rung the wrong person." And they were like, I don't think so. And look, it was a negligent matter. Like it was something that our local hospital should have picked up and they filed my case and didn't reach out to me. But they said, oh, no, I don't. Anyway, so obviously then it started the process. And as you know, nothing happens overnight medically. There's obviously tests. And I spent months going back and forward from Brisbane. It was a very hard process because of being a single parent at the time too, because by now I had my kid full time. I had a 14-year-old that was home on her own permanently with a mum potentially with terminal cancer and looking after dogs and taking herself to school. And so it was hard as a parent too, because no one wants their children to have to walk that journey. So I had to be tough for me. Like I was living the battle, but I guess I felt like I had to pretend like it wasn't affecting me because I needed to be tough for everyone else in my life. Like I'm a business owner. Like I have 3 daughters. So everyone else seemed to outwardly be more emotional than what I was. And I was like, oh my God. And I knew mindset was still so important because the difference between someone that heals from these things was obviously going to have a better chance if then have a good mindset and being positive and respond well. So I had all of that going on, and on top of the fact that they also misdiagnosed me and literally told me one day to say goodbye to my kid because I wasn't coming home. Like, it was
What?
a big season of life, but I think through that moment, you instantly work out what is really important to you, what's not, and really prioritize what your values are. And I just realized through that season, I read a book called The Brain at Rest, and I picked it up in an airport actually, and it literally changed my life. Like, it has been probably the key difference in my life over the last 12 months. And the interesting part for me, I think, is going through that journey. I think again, it went back into that fight or flight. It went back into do not think. It went back into mindset. And it wasn't until after I had my lung removed and after the treatment and I returned to work, because I never stopped. I went back to work.
I believe you said on stage that you were still working from your hospital bed. Is that
I
correct?
was.
Yeah,
I was.
yeah.
I
You got
clearly still
photos of it. You had actually photos of it on the screen of
I
you.
did. Clearly still not learning the lesson at the time. I have a bit of a delayed reaction. But yeah, and I came back and I was meant to have 5 weeks off just to recover from the operation. I was back at work in 2. I think I did a 12K hike at week 5. Yeah, like, I think when your body is so programmed to being the strong one, being the one that works around the clock, being that person, telling you to slow down actually comes harder than you give me another 100 hours of work, I'll just do it. That came naturally to me. But I had to realize through that last year, so post surgery, we're talking post, like the cancer's gone. I'm told that we're in the clearance. I was worse than what I was before. So that was really interesting. And I think for me, as I was in denial around what impact a cancer diagnosis has on a human body, what I dismissed because I was trying to be there for everyone else, but not for myself. So yeah, I had this kind of delayed effect where I hit actually my body shut down because I was still not listening to my mind. You know what I'm like, my mind was still in control. So yeah, it actually took a plane to land, like as in a plane wouldn't landed me because of I had chest pain and after the treatment. And in the end, it all came down to yeah, stress diagnosis, sitting in denial. They said you say you don't have depression, but every symptom in your body says you do.
Yeah.
I still don't think I do, but I guess there's different versions of what burnout and depression, I guess, look like. And that's when I started my journey of researching the neurological sides of the brain, what happens when you don't rest, boundaries, I turned my phone on flight mode and my sleep score doubled in 2 weeks. Just the last 12 months has probably brought me the most joy as well as the most pain, because as much as obviously I was suffering from burnout, I obviously have learned my biggest lessons holistically for my own life through that journey. I guess it's exciting looking forward because this year I will never let my future look like my past looked now. So I'm very excited about bringing my energy and my version of who I am to the table with the boundaries in place, with the balance, with those things that I've learned, and just seeing where the results lay in the future when you're giving back to yourself. Do you know what I mean? I think when you like, you think you're giving your best to people, but when you're running at 10%, it's not your best. So, yeah, I'm
Giving your
just
best to
very
people, but you're giving yourself nothing.
and look, if I'm not here, I'm not here. You know what I mean? I nearly lost my life over it, and my family came at a huge sacrificial cost because, like, my girls have been so affected over the fact that I work 24/7 for the last 10 years. So I think, yeah, for me now, I guess my biggest takeaway for other people is take time to put the phone away, have boundaries morning and night where you're not living on your phone. I've taken the smart out of my phone. So I get it 1 hour a day where I consciously turn my brain on in those moments to do it. But then we don't realize how much interruptions, just constant interruptions are coming at us. And unfortunately, we're sitting in fight or flight constantly without even knowing it. Yeah, I guess for me, that's been the biggest breakthrough is realizing the power of, yeah, turning off the phone, having balance, not being reactive in our life, but being very intentional about our time.
And so what does that look like? How does that I can relate to so much of that. I've lived with chronic stress for years, burnt myself out more times than I can, had the heart condition. The only thing they put my heart condition down to was long-term ongoing stress. Last year, I did a training with Tanja Lee. I'm not sure if you've done any of her work. Yeah,
I
but,
was
um,
yeah,
and I realized in that training that I'm still addicted to stress, even though I was doing the meditations, I'm exercising, I'm journaling, I'm talking about all this stuff that you need to be doing, but my
yeah.
body was just so ingrained, that stress, and that my hands were constantly like, yeah, probably averaging. And I've got a ring tracker now, and
Oh,
I've been averaging like 4 to 5 hours sleep every night. And since I did that training,
yeah,
I'm now 7 to 8 hours sleep every night. But it's insidious in us, and it obviously starts in our childhoods, and then we progress through our adult lives. And I honestly think that the people we bring into our lives is vibrating on that stress level with us.
yes.
So they're probably not the right people we want to be bringing into our lives. And I know I'm waffling on, but I just want to let you know that I can
Yeah,
totally feel where you were in that moment. But what is the gift that it's given you now that you had to really cop it in?
yeah,
Hey, girlfriend, you
like,
need to stop. You need to,
yeah,
you've taken it harder than most people. So just in terms of your family and spending quality time with your girls now and being
yeah,
present and and your business, has that continued to grow as successfully, even though
yeah.
you're working a lot less time?
Absolutely. And I guess I was lucky in the sense that my team recognized where I was at like three-quarters of the way through last year with burnout. Like I was at a point where my vision was affected. Like I would ring someone and they said, "You rang me 5 minutes ago." I had no recollection of it. So my brain literally was shutting down. Like if someone said to me, "Come on, we're going to the mental, we're going to go check you in," I would have followed. I was very burnt out. So it was really nice that they held space for me, and at that point, I actually didn't even know that I'd come back to work. Like I was ready to walk because I've always been very passionate about what I do. And I always thought the day that I'm not feeling that, like it's time to look elsewhere. But I went, no, I'm not making decisions until I find time to take that time. And I never in my life had that gift because, like you, I was addicted, I should say,
Yes,
to
good
the high
catch.
pressure because it's very performance driven as well. So not only do you love what you do, there's an element of recognition that comes with that. And so it is in your own brain, you think it's rewarding and you react to every notification and you think everything is an emergency when it's actually not. And I think for me, so I had the 2 months off and they took everything off me. So I had no emails, no phones, no nothing. So it was literally walk the dogs without a phone, the things you notice in your day that you never have noticed before. So I think for me, the gift that it's given me is presence. I yeah, like I actually joined up to a wellness center and I went every day for 2 hours. So I did the cold hot therapy, which changed my life. Reading jigsaw puzzles. We're talking sauna, like everything. I did all of it for 2 months and I absolutely loved it. It reset my nervous system. And I came back and oh my God, the ideas and the creative side of my brain. And I've hired a business coach and I've gone, okay, this is what, like, we've sat down and we've narrated what the next few years looks like for us as a business, which by the way is so exciting. But I don't think I could have come up with that creative flair or without giving my time, like the brain time to heal and time to breathe again. And I just said for me now going forward, these are my non-negotiables. These are my boundaries. My health will never be sacrificed as a result. But now with giving the world the best of who I am, how can we be more productive, in the space that we're holding up to. So yeah, it's just the little things like I canceled the bus service for my daughter. I'm now present. I take her to and from school. I'm not sitting on the phone, obviously, when you're with people. So I think for me now, it's all about doing more things that make you just put your phone away and make you be wherever you are, be all there. That's really what I'm about now. And so when I'm at work, I'm like, don't interrupt me. Like I'm head on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when I walk out the door, I've taken emails. I'd never returned emails to my phone. So after that leave now, it's a non-negotiable for me. So when I'm at work, I'm switched on. The second I walk out the door, I'm done for the day. I think that was the biggest life changer for me too, is realizing that not everything with work wise, it's not. 99% of it is not an emergency. And if it's an emergency, they're going to find me. Like that, it's, yeah, we can still respond when we need to, but most things can wait 6 hours.
Yeah,
they can wait until you sleep at night. You know what I mean? So I think it's just about changing what you really want in life and sitting in a more present state.
absolutely. And I love that for you that you got to be more creative and come up with new ideas
Yeah.
because I always come up with my best ideas when I take a break from work and walk away, as
Same.
hard as it is. And those bloody phones, they are, oh, that's what they're designed for, isn't it? To distract us. And
Yeah.
yeah, that people don't realize just that small little change, what an
Yeah.
impact it can have. If anyone
Yeah.
listening takes one thing away, get on your phone a lot less.
Yeah, and,
Um,
like, that book, The Brain at Rest, it actually delves into, like, from a statistic point of view, what actually happens, and I think for me is they say people are at work and they work for an hour and then they go, "I'll just take a break," and they roll back but they pick up their phone. It's actually not taking a break, it's actually like a trick. Like, it's actually because then you have a million different notifications, you're running between 10 apps, like, it's actually not resting the brain, it's actually causing more stress, but because it gives us that adrenaline
Adrenaline. Yeah.
hit,
Yeah.
we think we're getting rewarded, but when we're actually it's causing us more problems than what we realize. Yeah, that's another good tip,
So
I
what was the
think. I
book
think
called again? Because my next question was going to be, what's a personal development tool?
yeah,
So what the book was called, The Brain at Rest. Okay.
yeah.
And it's all about that, just like switching off your brain and
Yeah, so I
yeah.
guess it feels for people like you and me who are high achievers, it feels counterintuitive because we think how by doing less, how can you be more productive? But it actually does work. The book delves into obviously there's quite a few different chapters, but it goes obviously into the power of turning the brain off. But it also there's a whole chapter on sleep, and it actually explains what happens when you don't get the right sleep. And there's a chapter on greenery and nature. And so, yeah, it's obviously broken up into, it's a very holistic perspective, but it also brings data and statistics. And he studied it for life because his dad actually got burnt out from working too hard. And he has never, he's still clinically, yeah, he hasn't hopped off the couch now in 20 years. So he,
Wow.
as an adult, chose his career to pursue investigating it and has written this book. And so it is pretty incredible. And it's why I guess so many professions, they go hard and then they assume they're going to have, a retirement or they're going to have a later life, but we're dying young because we're not giving our bodies I guess, the nurture that it needs.
Yeah. And you're obviously living proof that these things really do work.
Yeah.
And so all clear health wise. Yep. You're all
I feel like obviously ever since the few months I had off, I feel the best I have felt in my entire life now, which is really, it's just such a good feeling when you have that peace. You feel like your life is very intentional. You have boundaries that you're honoring. It just feels really, yeah, just really rich in a sense, not from a money perspective, obviously, but just from a life perspective. And then growth is one of my biggest values. So I guess I am constantly looking to learn where I can continue to grow in. And yeah, that's exciting that I'll never turn that part off of, I guess, my values. But it does look different now because I want to grow professionally. It's probably
you want to grow old as well.
yeah, absolutely. And I still want to give back to, as we talked earlier, like I want to give back to others. And I think I have definitely reached that point in my life where I've definitely had that mental shift since the sickness because for so long it was all about, oh, what can I achieve? What awards can we get? What goal can I hit off? And now it's like I've just had this whole perspective change where it's all about how can I contribute? Where can I give back? So it's interesting how you do reach that stage where for me now it's more about yeah contribution and fulfillment. Yeah.
Amazing. And how good are the hot and cold plunges? I do them every week as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loved. It's like a meditation for me now because you can set intentions while you're doing your breath work in them.
Yeah.
So for those that say don't do it, at least try it because it is, as you probably know, it is. Yeah, they
I
do have an
sleep so
effect.
good.
Yeah.
My mindset, if I don't do it for a couple of days, I'm cranky and scattered. I'm not present and centered in myself. So yeah, no, I definitely recommend it as well. For
Yeah.
anyone listening, how can they reach out and connect with you further? What's the best place?
Yeah, probably maybe email. I'm on elizabeth@elitere.com.au. Otherwise, it's Elizabeth Hood. Like you probably Google me, you'll probably find me. And I'm more than happy to help others. Like I think for me too, moving forward is I want to help others go, yep, We're all about empowering you to believe in yourself and back yourself and take yourself to the next level, because I believe anything is possible. But secondly, don't do it at the cost of your health, your family, and your values. Learn from my mistakes, because at the end of the day, not all business is always good business. And it's, I guess, at the end of the day, balance is important as well.
I say that exact same thing. I can teach people what not to do in real estate because I've made
Yes.
every mistake
Yes.
possible. I'd say, come to me if you want to learn what not to do in real estate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Elizabeth, I'm so glad we got to have this chat. You are a super human, and thanks for sharing so vulnerably.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kylie.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate, and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow, or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.